Well, congratulations. You've made it to level 4, which is naming acids. If you've made it this far, you should feel pretty good about adding and subtracting oxygens, and as well as adding hydrogens, because when it comes to naming acids, you need to have all that information readily available. So here at the top of the notes, I have that kind of like putting it all together from level 3. Okay, so make sure you have that mastered before you move on to acids. It'll make your life so much easier. Now, when it comes to naming acids, there's 3 mnemonic devices that's going to really help you out. Okay, the first one is my ride has hydraulics. The second one is I ate something icky. And the third one is Sprite is delicious. Now, I'm explain how this works, okay? So when we're naming acids, you're kind of focusing in on the negative ion. If that negative ion ends in IDE, what we're gonna do when we name it as an acid, we're gonna add the prefix hydro and ic, hence hydraulics, okay? And you guys see the bold print here. If you wanna make this like ELA teachers might hate it, but like if you want to spell hydraulics with an O, it kind of makes a little bit more sense because that prefix is hydro, okay? And I'm gonna explain how that works here with hydrogen chloride, okay? So if we have HCl, we would normally name that as hydrogen chloride. Here's my negative ion that ends in IDE, and my ride has hydraulics, so we're gonna call that hydrochloric acid. So IDE changes to hydro and ic. My ride has hydraulics. So that mnemonic device can really help you out with things that end with IDE. And those are typically elements. As you can see, these other ones are polyatomic ions, okay? And polyatomic ions often end with ATE or ITE. For example, this is a perchlorate ion. This is a chlorate ion. This is a chlorite ion, and this is a hypochlorite ion. And that's where these 2 other mnemonic devices come into play. So I ate something icky tells us that anything that ends with ATE is going to change to ic. I ate something icky. So if we looked at this third one right here, which is typically we'd name this, as far as like normal naming, we'd call it like hydrogen chlorate. Well, we're going to change the ATE to IC. Now the hydrogen piece just means acid. So chlorate is going to change to chloric because I ate something icky. It also works with the perchlorate, but if you have a perchlorate, it'll be a peric acid. But it's still, I ate something icky is the mnemonic that works here. Remember, the hydrogen is always the word acid, and perchlorate is going to change to perchloric. So I ate something icky. Both ATEs change to IC. The last mnemonic device that we have is Sprite is delicious, which means if we have an ITE ending, we're going to change the ending to OUS when it's an acid. So all ITEs will change to OUS. For example, right here, HClO2 is typically hydrogen chloride, but as an acid, we change its name, we take off the ITE ending, and we add OUS because Sprite is delicious. Remember, the hydrogen just means acid, okay? So chlorite will become chlorus. Likewise, if we have HClO2, which is a hypochlorite ion, hydrogen still becomes acid, but if we have hypochlorite, that will become hypochlorous acid. But both ITEs change to OUS because Sprite is delicious. Now, you do need to work this both ways, both from the formula to the acid name and from the acid name to the formula. My suggestion is, especially in the beginning, is always go to normal naming in between. If you do that, you're going to make your life so much easier. It's so much easier to do 2 easy steps versus than 1 complicated step. But as you do this more and more and more, you'll then start becoming a little bit more fluent in being able to jump from the beginning to the end quite quickly, okay? But still, even at the end of the whole year, I still have some students that still like to use that middle step, and I think it's very, very wise to do that in the very beginning, okay? So let's take a look at some of these problems, okay? So I got HNO3, okay? Now, it would typically just name that as hydrogen nitrate. All right, I have an ATE ending, so the mnemonic that's in my head is that I ate something icky. So nitrate is going to change to nitric, okay? The hydrogen part is the word acid. So hydrogen nitrate changes to nitric acid. Second problem is going to be hydrogen nitrite, because I have that mastered from level 3, okay? And if I have hydrogen nitrite, the mnemonic that I see here, I have ITE, and that Sprite is delicious. So this is going to change to OUS. Nitrite is going to change to nitrous. The hydrogen is the word acid, okay? We've got H3P. The way I would do that under normal naming is call that hydrogen, and this is just an element. It's not going to end with ATE or ITE. This is just hydrogen phosphide. And I have an IDE ending, okay? If I have an IDE ending, the mnemonic that I have is my ride has hydraulics. So this is going to be phosphoric. So we get the hydro and the ic because my ride has hydraulics. Okay, remember the hydrogen part simply is the word acid. Okay, so that's how we handle things that are just an element. So an element typically gets IDE, and it gets the hydro and the ic prefix and suffix. Okay, the next one is going to be hydrogen. One thing you're going to notice that all our acids begin with hydrogen. Okay, and this negative ion is phosphate. So I have the ATE polyatomic ion, so phosphate is going to end up being phosphoric, okay? And if you didn't add the OR, I'm not going to take points off. Some people might call this phosphoric acid, but the technical word is phosphoric acid. But I'm just looking for you changing the endings here appropriately. That's what you're going to be graded on. So phosphate is going to change to phosphoric. The hydrogen, once again, is the word acid. And then lastly, we have a very complicated one. So the hydrogen, but what is this negative ion FO? Okay, if we go back to level 3 and we have that right here, okay, FO is right here. But the way I would probably think of this is that chlorate is ClO3, so fluorate is FO3, fluorite is FO2, and hypofluorite is FO. So FO is hypofluorite. So you definitely want to have level 3 down before you get to this level 4. So we got a hypofluorite. I'm just like looking at that ending, and it's an ITE, and Sprite is delicious. So hypofluorite is going to change to hypofluorous because Sprite is delicious. And once again, hydrogen is simply the word acid. So that's how you go kind of like forward. And if we want to do that in reverse, okay, we're going to do the same thing, okay? We're going to look at this. We see chloric, okay, so that's going to be chlorate. Acid means hydrogen. So we got to put together hydrogen chlorate, which is going to be HClO3 is the chlorate, okay? Well, what about bromic? Well, that would be bromate. Well, if chlorate is ClO3, bromate is going to be BrO3. Remember, acid is simply hydrogen. So it's going to be HBrO3. Now, just to remind you, I am still looking at charges, so these just happen to be +1s and -1s, so it works out, okay? Well, what about a hydrobromic? Well, I got this prefix and this suffix. So this is my ride has hydraulics because I got hydro and ic. And if my ride has hydraulics, then hydrobromic acid is going to be the bromide ion, which is just the element, okay? So remember, my ride has hydraulics. The acid part is going to be hydrogen. So I got hydrogen bromide. Hydrogen's a +1, bromide's a -1, so that works out in a 1-to-1 ratio. okay? Now I have bromous, okay? So remember, chlorate is ClO3, bromate is BrO3, bromite is BrO2. And that's kind of like what we're working with here, because bromous is going to be the bromite polyatomic ion, which is BrO2. Okay, of course, acid is hydrogen. And this guy's a +1 and a -1, so it works out. So HBr2. Of course, if I go hypobromous, that's going to be the hypobromite ion. And that's just one less oxygen than the previous problem, but everything else is going to be the same. Okay, because acid is the hydrogen, hypobromite is going to be just BrO, okay? With the hydrogen, it's going to be a +1, -1. They work out in a 1-to-1 ratio as well. So that's how we work in reverse. As you can see, I jumped from the normal name to the formula, and if I tried to do all that in one step, that might be a little bit complicated for someone that's brand new to acid naming. To be honest with you, there's still times, and I've been teaching this for a long time, that I still in my head am going to normal naming first before I'm jumping down and writing down the formula. So hope this helps with level 4. Please do the homework that's attached with this. Make sure it's mastered, okay? And then you're gonna turn in the last page of that packet, which is your summer assignment. Remember, you're gonna do that so that you're ready on the first week of school to take a test. So don't just do it for completion points, okay? You are gonna be assessed on it as well. So you need to know how to do this in the first 10 days of AP Chemistry. So study hard at each level, and make sure you have each level mastered, and we'll see you soon in AP Chemistry.